Welcome back to episode 2 of the PSX Index. I'm Parasine, and this is my entirely reasonable, absolutely sane, and not at all life-consuming game challenge. We are playing through the entire North American PlayStation 1 library. That's 1,278 games released between 1995 and 2004. It is a colossal task. We're talking about 3 to 4 years of solid gaming, streaming and editing. It's a journey of nostalgia, pain and sometimes profound joy. I stream all the raw footage, the good, the bad and the rage quits live over on Twitch. Then I take the chaos, edit it down and produce this video essay. My in-depth analysis and critique right here for the YouTube faithful. This is an epic deep dive into one of the greatest consoles of all time, the system that defined a generation and reshaped gaming into the 3D world we know today. So please hit that subscribe button, follow the journey and strap in because we are diving headfirst into history. Last time we emerged sweaty and traumatised from the nightmare mode of Parasite Eve 2. A genuinely brilliant slow burn survival horror. Today we are hitting the energy drink, dropping the bass and going completely chaotic. Sport and fast paced, we are shredding into the legendary Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. I chose this specifically to grab viewers' attention. While the PSX Index is small, switching from deep horror to a beloved, highly rated sports combo builder is an intentional move to showcase the depth of the PS1 library and the series' cultural impact. The original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater in 1999 was a lightning strike. It didn't just popularise skateboarding games, it fundamentally changed how we approached arcade-style scoring, flow and level design. It's impossible to overstate its cultural impact on extreme sports, music and gaming. But THPS 2, released in 2000, didn't just iterate, it perfected the formula. This isn't just a sequel, it's widely considered one of the greatest sequels in video game history. The biggest game changer was the manual, a move that allowed skaters to link tricks between grinds, aerials and flips on flat ground. The manual was originally a move Activision pushed back on, fearing it would break the game. It didn't break it, it turned it into a high score edition, allowing for those beautiful multi-million point chains that became the hallmark of the series. The game also introduced the ability to create parks and the beloved Create a Skater feature. Despite my love for the franchise, I played the first, third and Underground 2 to death. For some baffling reason, I skipped the second one entirely growing up. So technically, this is my first time experiencing THPS 2 in its classic, unremastered glory. And if you're going to play a game series, jumping into the one that's considered the peak is a hell of a way to start. We begin with the Create a Skater section. I have to admit, I don't know half of the pro skaters outside of Tony Hawk's himself, so I opted for a custom build. I ended up creating this monstrosity, bald, bearded and decked out in the channel's theme colours. A blinding pink and purple ensemble. It's hideous, it's beautiful and it's entirely accurate to my questionable fashion sense. He looks like a freshly shaved grape. Speaking of Create a Skater, the ultimate genius of THPS 2 was its rewards loop. The game was packed with secrets that kept players hooked long after the main career ended. Finishing the game not only unlocked the legendary Skate Heaven, but also activated some truly bizarre playable characters. We're talking about characters like Officer Dick, a joke character based on a policeman constantly chasing skaters in the early commercials, And the absolute crown jewel, Spider-Man. Now seeing Spider-Man on the PlayStation 1 game wasn't entirely new, but his inclusion here was a massive cultural moment. It was a secret award for the dedicated player, a meta crossover that perfectly captured the fun and the absolute spirit of the era. Today, you would be unlocking them kinds of characters with your wallet, but the deepest cut, the unlock that required the most insane dedication, it was the Neversoft skate videos. By 100% completion of the game, with specific secret characters, you unlock developer video footage, proof that the Neversoft team was just obsessed with their own creation as we were. It added this fantastic layer of personality to the whole package, reminding you that this game was made by the people who loved skating and loved gaming. I don't know what it is about Tony Hawk's games, but the opening levels, the hangar and the warehouse are always the most purely fun to play around in. They feel like the mechanics were designed solely to be mastered on that first stage. We jump right into the checklist: high score, pro score and the challenging 6 score of 75,000 points. Look, I'm no THP expert. I can grind a rail, I can pull off a kickflip or two, and I can land a trick straight about 70% of the time, but I'm not chaining 100k combos with my eyes closed. This level was smooth. I got the feel of the map, hit the cozy 75k goal quickly, got my skate letters, and even stumbled across the secret tape on my first run. Pure beginner's luck. My goal wasn't 100% completion. With 1,278 games, I have to be realistic. The goal is to experience the game as the developer intended, for the casual but dedicated player, the one who buys it, plays through the career and loves it. The challenge ramps up. Now we're in the Southern Californian school, a reimagining of the classic school from the first game, dripping with that rebellious 19 teenage punk vibe. It got serious. 100,000 points required and much bigger map knowledge, with stunt opportunities being much more spaced out. My biggest challenge? Having to wall ride 5 school bells. This was the first game in the series to implement the wall ride, and you can tell it felt stiff and unforgiving compared to later entries. Getting that lineup right in the 2-minute time limit was stressful. This is a nightmare, this challenge. I hope it's not like one of these type of wall ride challenges on every level. Okay, follow the trail. Follow the trail. I bet this one's going to give me a nightmare now. It's all been going too well. Just carefully line it up. No! Right, turn around, calmly, slowly. Turn around. Look, okay, one more, please God. It's gotta be around here somewhere. We also had to grind 3 roll call rails. Which rails? The game gives you absolutely no indication. You just have to play around and figure it out. Of course, in 2025 I could just Google this in 5 seconds, but I thought no. We're here playing like it's 1999. The struggle of discovery is part of the charm. We moved on without the secret tape, unlocking next stages with our acquired skills. Thank goodness for Marseille, France. This level was a complete tonal shift. No checklist, just a free heat tournament with cash prizes. It's a head-to-head competition. Best of 2 heats wins with points deducted for bails. Even though I felt my performance was slack and I fell multiple times, I somehow managed to take the top score in each round. First try. Tony Hawk, consider yourself served. 7,500 cash secured. This was fun, fast and exactly the confidence boost I needed. Back to the grind. New York. A daunting 150,000 points in 2 minutes. All my money went into my skill points because, if I'm being honest, I needed all the help I could get. I focused entirely on one section, a long wall run I could trick up and down with the most mixed up flippy floppy nonsense I could manage. The nightmare, the one thing that murdered every good rhythm I had, the crazy New York taxi drivers. I could pull off a gorgeous, satisfying 50k combo, land perfectly, and be immediately murdered by a yellow cab. Rage restart multiple times. The stiff controls did not help. I finally pulled it off, but my fingers were cramped and sore. The sheer effort needed for a 6 score really highlights the jumps in difficulty. Nice. Nice, fucking did it. Get in. You know what? Don't even need to. That's enough for me. Whew. After that, the smaller tasks. Ollieing over the hydrants, which demanded absolute perfect lineup. 50-50ing Joey's sculpture, whatever that was. The 5 subway tokens, mostly out of reach, demanding physics defying speed and momentum. We ticked the boxes and moved on, bruised but not broken. Venice Beach, California. The 6 score here, a heart-stomping 200,000 points. Plus the collectibles were on rooftops and out of reach, and the out-of-bounds drop-off felt lethal to any combo attempt. I set my sights on the pro score, 100k, and kept my expectations realistic. Chasing the skate letters felt like an undue headache for my precious PSX index time. We had to ollie over the magic bum multiple times. It was a bizarre random task that required memorising his spawn points. Another example of that late 90s developer quirkiness. The secret tape sat up high laughing at me. I tried jumping from the rooftops, but the momentum required felt impossible for my pink and purple disaster of a character. I got the 5 spray cans and retreated. Rejoice, another competition level. This was until I realised how much stricter the scoring judges were. I genuinely struggled here. Even when I'd done as well as I had done in France, I only scraped the 3rd place. I quickly realised if the first round didn't score well, you restart. Playing the classic again after experiencing the smooth buttery controls of modern Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake, having played the first one but not the second, really highlighted how stiff the original felt. Moves I remembered, like the wall kiss or the smooth wall ride, felt rigged and unforgiving. You really feel the age here, which is a great piece of factual analysis for the retro gamer audience. But it's this stiffness that made me reminisce. This was a time of pure arcade style combo building without the pressure of constant online comparison. Back then, pulling off a 50k score in front of your friends made you feel like the best gamer in the world. You were the king amongst your friends and family, and that's all that mattered. There was no comparing yourself to some Twitch streamer monster who can pull off a 10 million combo with one hand, a Monster Energy drink in the other, and a sharing bag of Doritos on the lap. It was simple, it was pure. The final required a 6 score of 250,000 points. I immediately let out a whimpering sigh. I achieved the pro score and decided that was my personal 6 score for the day. That was enough. I focused on ticking off the remaining skate, 5 bells and draining the fountain. A classic Tony Hawk's Pro Skater hidden objective. The final competition level, this one felt much better than the Skatestreet. With more opportunities to build good combos, I managed to snap up a silver trophy quickly. And with that, we hit the end credits. It was a rollercoaster elevation of controller clench and frustration. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is often cited as the high point of the PlayStation 1 skateboarding era, and it absolutely earns that reputation. It was easy to look at the flow of a game like THPS 2 and think, oh, it's just skateboarding, but the technical history is fascinating. The base technology for this fluid 3D skateboarding engine wasn't initially designed for skating at all. Neversoft built the first Tony Hawk game off an existing engine they had developed for an obscure third-person action game called Apocalypse, starring Bruce Willis. The developers essentially took the core physics engine, the way a character moves in a 3D space, and strapped a skateboard to it. This led to key design philosophy. They made sure to reward the player, not punish them. In early tests, the developers experimented with realistic ragdoll physics, where bailing meant a long, frustrating animation to get back up. They quickly threw that cut out, choosing to reset the player instantly. That decision to prioritise fluid arcade fun over rigid realism is why THPS 2 feels so perfectly balanced. It strips away the frustrating part of the simulation and leaves you with pure, joyous rewards of the combo. It's a game about effortless flow, built on the top of a recycled engine that gave it surprisingly robust foundation. The final testament to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2's genius is not just the original PlayStation version, but how successfully its DNA was ported across every conceivable platform. Whilst the Dreamcast and PC version offered crisper textures, the real technical achievement was the Game Boy Advance version. Vicarious Visions, the team behind the port, managed to translate the core 3D feeling into a tiny, isometric, pseudo 3D view and somehow retain the combo system and the level layout of the PS1 original. It was a technological miracle that shows how well the fundamental design held up regardless of the graphical limitations. This game didn't just sell well, it fundamentally changed developer Neversoft's trajectory and popularised extreme sports culture in the mainstream. It's one of the few games in history to receive a perfect 98 out of 100 score on Metacritic. That kind of perfection is rarely achieved in gaming. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 didn't just hit it, it stuck the landing. But if the standard game felt a little rigged, the beauty of THPS 2 was that you could instantly throw realism out the window for the secret codes. This was an era where developers actively wanted you to mess with their game, and the results were pure, unadulterated fun. We all know the classic perfect balance cheat, the one where you let the grind and manual forever, instantly unlocking the million-point combos that were impossible legitimately. It turned the game from a test of skill into a zen-like puzzle of map optimization. But the real joy came from the visual physics and modifiers. You had the moon gravity cheat, turning every ollie into a beautiful slow-motion arc, letting you twist and spin for 5 seconds before finally hitting the ground. You had the turbo mode, which cranked the entire game speed up by 25%. Transforming the precise combo build into a frantic button mashing blur, and the classic visual gags, big head mode. The ability to make your skater thin or fat were just hilarious distractions. The secret sandbox of cheat codes is a perfect time capsule. It wasn't about competitive balance or microtransactions, it was about giving the player extra value and reminding them that at its heart, this was just a toy to be played with. It ensured that even after you completed the career, you kept coming back just to see how high you could fly. The core gameplay, while showing its age against modern fluidity, is near perfect for its time. The addition of the manual elevates the entire experience, transforming scoring from the series of discrete events into a continuous flowing line of creativity. Stages like School 2, Marseille, France and the Hangar are compact and yet layered, packed with lines, secrets and verticality. Every map encourages experimentation and replay. They are masterclasses in how to make a small space feel infinitely explorable. The game pushes the PS1 hardware beautifully. Character models are clean, animations are smooth and the performance is rock solid, which is crucial when you're chaining massive combos. It never sacrifices frame rate, proving the technical genius of the developers. I cannot share the actual soundtrack with you here on YouTube, but I can confirm the playlist. Tracks from Rage of the Machine, Bad Religion and Papa Roach doesn't just complement the gameplay, it defines the game's identity. It was the gateway drug for an entire generation to punk and alternative rock. For an absolute punker heart like me, it threw me straight back into my formative teenage years in the 90s and the early 2000s. It is a sonic explosion of nostalgia. If there's a downside, it's that the career mode is fairly short by modern standards, but the sheer replayability and the constant drive for better scores more than makes up for it. A genre-defining classic, and arguably the best skateboarding game on the PlayStation 1. Fluid, stylish and endlessly replayable, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is a near perfect sequel and an absolute landmark of the late 90s gaming. I genuinely adored my experience. Even as a strictly casual player, the satisfaction of finally pulling off a 6-score combo was immense. It felt like a huge ask every time I started a new level, but the reward came from the gaming experience. Figuring out the best lines and mastering the combo through pure effort. It's the struggle that makes these games feel satisfying. And with that, episode 2 of the PSX Index is in the books. We have conquered 2 completely different styles of games, a slow tense survival horror and a fast high scoring arcade sports title. 1,276 games still to go. The journey continues. Next time we move on to arguably the most important genre shaping game of the entire console, and to some people the greatest game of all time. Metal Gear Solid. It's a journey that takes up the majority of my life, so please follow along with me. Catch the raw, unfiltered streams over on Twitch, and subscribe here on YouTube for the analysis, the deep dives and the video essays. I'll see you on the next one. This has been Parasine, and this is the PSX Index. Have a nice day.